Thank you very much, Doug. First of all, I'd really like to acknowledge Hilda Sarkeesian and Donna Christensen. They do the hard work. What people like me and the rest of us do is a piece of cake, in my judgment. And I also want to thank Tom Stiers and Benjamin Bratt to let me go here a little early so I can get back and pick up my grandkids from the babysitter so my daughter doesn't chew me out, because she takes after my brother Philip more than me, and he had a rage that wasn't always for justice. It was, a lot of that shit was directed right at me, trust me. But anyway, it's an honor for me to introduce tonight's Philip Burton winner, Joe Cotchett. Philip had a couple phrases, and if those of you who ever have gone up to San Francisco and seen there's a big statue of him, bigger than life, which sort of fit Phil. In his paper, there's a pocket, and people always wonder what's in it because it's got some writing, but the pocket's hidden. And it basically said, the only way to deal with exploiters is to terrorize the bastards. And his other one, when he was trying to create a park, and the timber owners came in to see him, and he had a map on the floor that showed him taking every piece of property and every tree that they owned, and they almost had a heart attack and said, you can't do this, you can't do this. And he looked at him, he said, well, let me think, what if I do this? And he drew the lines exactly how he meant them to be drawn, and they all looked at him and said, thank you, Congressman. And I looked at him when they walked out. I said, what the hell is that about? He said, once you show people the depths of hell, everything else looks good. That's what Joe Cotchett does to the exploiters and the bad people. He shows them the depths of hell, and they end up either settling or get their brains beaten out in court. So Joe has been a friend of mine for a very long time. His sister and brother-in-laws were very close friends of my brother Philip. In fact, his brother-in-law and Philip started the Young Democrats in San Francisco many years ago. Joe came up from Cal Poly, became part of us politically with my brother and myself, George Moscone, and has gone on to do just wonderful things for people that need wonderful things done to them. So I don't get to introduce him, I get to say what I said. I will then refer you to a video which will show you what they say about Joe. Then Joe will come up here and tell you what he thinks of himself, which is a lot more than any of us really think of him.
California taxpayers just dodged a financial bullet following a fast and furious legal battle.
The big picture was that it was rape and pillage of the California public by our prior governor and his cronies.
The attempted fire sale of dozens of state landmark buildings went down in flames as evidence of corruption came to light.
Part of the group that was buying it were very big contributors to our former governor, and I might add, to Democrats as well. They were big political contributors that were part of this purchase group.
Attorney Joe Cotchett jumped into the fray at the last minute to stop the illegal sale from going through.
In late November, it had been green-lighted, basically. There was no other hope of stopping the transaction, despite the fact that the state's own legislative analyst office had issued dire predictions about the fact that the sale-leaseback was going to cost taxpayers well over $6 billion.
In a dramatic twist, Cotchett deposed State Treasurer Bill Lockyer, who'd received a tip that Santa Ana Mayor Miguel Pulido would receive a $500,000 finder's fee for helping put the deal together.
Bill Lockyer is one of the most decent, honest political public figures in this state. He had the courage, the guts, with John Chiang as well, stand up and say, this is an outrage.
Former Governor Schwarzenegger fired the two whistleblowers who questioned if the sale was a bad deal for taxpayers. Joe Cotchett fought to get their jobs back.
The Department of General Services contacted our client, and Jerry Epstein, and let him know that he and our other client, Rusty Doms, would be reappointed to the State Buildings Commission.
This victory tops a long list of accomplishments in Cotchett's 40-year legal career. He defended Insurance Reform Proposition 103 in court. He helped recover large settlements for victims of white-collar fraud cases and major corporate scandals. He's now taking on the Bush administration for exposing the identity of CIA agent Valerie Plame.
He's often described as a lion of the legal profession.
Joe, simply put, is courageous. He's a champion of the underdog.
Cotchett's dedication to social justice is evident in his extensive pro bono work and community involvement.
It's a very important part of our culture that you understand as an attorney in the community, your job is to leave it better than when you found it.
A man inspires by actions. And most importantly, he inspires you to have a social conscience.
Joe spent his entire life fighting for justice and equality. In college, he drank from segregated water fountains. He rode in the back of buses. He established the first integrated fraternity at Cal Poly.
Joe Cotchett's commitment to civic involvement will continue to benefit Californians for years to come.
It was wonderful to know that we had a small part, a very small part, in saving these beautiful buildings for people like you and everybody here in this audience and everybody in the state of California.